Hi, I'm Nigel Newman with the Joinery Coach, and I'm here today with James from Kurv. James has been doing some fantastic work here around 5S and organising standard workbenches for the teammates in the business. So I'd like him to just have a quick chat with me around some of the improvements, some of the benefits, and how he went about engaging the team to get some of these great ideas in place. So James, if you could just maybe talk to me a little bit about how did you go about identifying the need for having kind of a standard workbench? What were some of the benefits you visualised that were on offer when you get something like this up and running?
Well, I think the problem first off was that we'd end up borrowing tools. Someone would have something over on their bench that we need and we didn't have what we needed. And yeah, we'd never be able to find it. So we figured if we just had a standard set of tools all coded to that bench, then they just stay on this bench. Everyone's got one.
So is that the colour coding we're seeing here, the pinks?
Yeah. Yeah, we all picked a different colour, sprayed them to what we wanted, and yeah, now we can keep our own set of tools.
And how much engagement did you get from the team about their ideas or their input into how this looks?
I suppose with the look, it's similar to an old setup that we did have. I was just trying to fit everything into the space, and like we all had a bit of a thought about what tools we wanted. And obviously same with the screw tubs, thinking that we needed more, so that way we could have everything that we needed on the bench.
And what do you think some of the benefits have been of having this kind of setup for the workstation? Other than the guys not having to borrow tools, has it allowed them to keep focus on the work at hand?
Yep, it's definitely kept everything neater.
Yep,
so we don't have everything just on the bench or under the bench somewhere scattered everywhere, because I usually find I end up with just a mountain of tools.
Right.
So it is nice to be able to have them in their own place. I know where they go. I've been using it a fair bit, just putting it straight back. It works pretty well.
Excellent. And have you had any comments back from the team yet about how if they've found it beneficial or useful, or made them feel better when they come to work maybe?
I think just the fact that we've got our own tools is definitely a better feel.
Right, yeah, so you're having everything at point of use, where you need it, when you need it.
Exactly,
I guess is the intention, right, of having the standardised bench.
Yeah.
And plus, when they're working on other benches, if they need to move around,
it's all there.
Everything's the same, right? It's easy to know how it all works and where it all goes.
Yeah, similar if one of the guys from site comes in, they've got a bench over there they can use. They've got all the tools there. They don't have to bring everything in from their car. They've got what they need.
Excellent. It sounds like all of that adds up to a really good efficiency.
Yeah.
What about some of the other stuff you're still working on? We're getting into maybe not the common tools we're using, but maybe the slightly less common things like the cleaning station. What else is next to come, I guess, on this next board?
Yep. I guess the next thing will be making the hose reels a bit easier to access. The power reels as well. We're going to get the retractable ones.
Okay, excellent.
So we've already set up some space. Like we'll move a bit of this. We all know sort of where we want them,
right,
to fit into the space.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And I've got to point out, there's a little bit of personalisation here, which I think keeps the human factor and the fun factor at work. So really good to see some creativity there in amongst all the standards.
Yeah, Nicole was very excited to bring them in yesterday.
She was? Yeah.
Yep.
Excellent, good stuff. Here with James again to talk about part trolleys, one of our favourite things we love to discuss with clients around making change in the factory. Typically what we see is parts are all stacked, and we always say the first thing to do is get them into a vertical trolley. James's first version was this one here, so a very basic unit. They soon realised there were some improvements, and they made this as the second version. And obviously you see the parts get stacked nicely in this arrangement. What they're now doing though is working on version number 3, which is awesome, because that's what we want to see, is this consistent change and the team really thinking about how can they improve something. So without further ado, I'll get James to tell us about the next iteration they're doing over on the bench, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the improvements. So here we are again with James, version 3 of the part trolley. James, if you could take us through the reason you're making a new version, what are some of the benefits or some of the improvements you've identified from version 2 that are going to be carried across to version 3?
Yep, so I guess the design from version 2 in terms of space was pretty good. But in the back of it, we had a pretty large compartment where we were putting backs and adjustable shelves and things like that. But for most jobs, it just seemed a bit of a waste of space. And also separating the backs, if we were to put a carcass, the material inside one of these, the back usually went separate. So we're just cutting out that, having it all together in one. Now we've made it deeper because we've gotten rid of that back section so that we can actually fit the backs in here comfortably. And yeah, we'll go from there, see whether it's too big, if we've got too many slots, depending on what kind of batch size we want to work on. Yeah, we'll see if this one works.
Excellent. So good. You're thinking about batch size, and you're thinking about the overall space the trolley uses in the workshop, and trying to make that the right size, not too small, not too big.
Yeah. So at the moment, we can probably comfortably fit about 2 carcasses in each slot. So it's about 20 cupboards, which is good for a standard size room. But some are bigger, some are smaller, so we'll see how it goes in here. We might be able to fit more than 2 across the back wall here if we made them a bit smaller, but yeah, we'll see how this one goes.
So is the idea to trial one first and before you go make the right number that you need?
Yeah, so we've just cut this one. We're just going to test this one first. If it works, we'll change the other ones over. If not, we'll alter this one, try again, and go from there.
I love it. It's all about experimentation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, trying stuff out, seeing if it works, adjusting it, and then fine-tuning it and getting it to be really effective.
Yeah, because like this one seems good for now, but we might find something about it we don't like and change it before we commit to making 4 of them.
Brilliant, really good. Excellent. Yeah, you want to make sure when you're stopping to do improvements that the improvement's the right improvement. You make 4 or 5 and then you really got to change them. It's going to take a long time, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, this one, I'm still building this one. It's not quite finished yet.
Hey, it looks great though. It looks awesome. Yeah. Looks like it's going to be really, I like the idea of having, room per cart potentially. Yeah. It's nice and simple. You're bringing it over, that's the room for the day that you're going to work on. Next cart's getting filled at the CNC.
Yeah. That's the idea.
Yeah. Excellent. Really good. Thank you. We're here with Nicole today from Kurv, and we're going to talk about an improvement she made off the back of the trolleys that were improved. So Nicole, I heard you had an awesome idea when you saw the guys making the new trolleys and you thinking about, hey, rather than throwing that away, maybe we can use it for something else.
Yep.
So start with the trip home where you had the thought, just kick it off from there.
So as soon as we found out we're going to get new trolleys, I'm like, what are we going to do with these? And then went home, had a thought about it, came back to work the next morning, and then pretty much explained that we can utilise all these pockets, organise materials a lot better and break them down even further. So then, if they're under a certain length, chuck them because we can't really use them. Otherwise, so far, it's in progress still. But yeah, the concept is pretty much what it is.
Yeah. So before this was all just kind of like in one big pile?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, everything was everywhere.
How easy was it to find stuff or pick out a piece of material you needed?
Half an hour later.
Wow.
Yeah, ate into a lot of production time. So I think this will reduce the wastage time, and we can visually see what goes where, so it's organised.
Yeah, great. And it's nice and simple, right? You've taken something that was pre-existing, just added some small changes, very simple labelling, and now we can clearly see, material by type. And then you also said you had a couple of more ideas about how to take this to the next step, which is maybe separating again further, long and short.
Yes, so that's the next step for it today, which will be cutting sort of like tall divides to keep this long stuff back. And then at the front here will be a faceplate for the smaller stuff so it doesn't come out.
Fantastic. Awesome. How great is that going to be?
Fantastic.
Half an hour each time you come here to find something. It's a huge time back on the bench and getting more productive.
Yeah, exactly. And even with stock, you can visually see what we need or what we're running low on as well.
Yeah, excellent. So then you can go in and say, hey, we need to order some more of whatever it is we need. Fantastic. Awesome. Well done. Thanks,
awesome.
Nicole.
Thanks.
Cheers. Hi, we're here today with Chris from Kurv. He's the owner, and he's been behind a lot of the driving force for a lot of the changes we've been talking about today in the workshop and in the business. One thing we wanted to talk about was the daily production board or the daily schedule board. This has gone through a couple of iterations, and this is the next one where Chris has added the schedule screen to the daily task board. I'll let Chris talk a little bit about how this is used on a day-to-day and what have been some of the benefits of being able to set clear objectives for each person throughout the day.
Yep, no worries. So we use project management system. So we've got that here up on the TV. So we've got a bit of a high level sort of stuff up here. So we've got our assembly hours and the estimated hours along with the actual hours, so we can see how the job's tracking as we're going. And then from that, we just break that down into a micro, which is a day-to-day. So this goes onto the board here, and this is basically a day-to-day thing. So
cool, and I like it because you can see the product that the person has been assigned to build, and you can also see the hours assigned, which we relate to the estimated hours. So I guess the key thing is that when we get to the end of the day, we know whether we've hit the plan or not, which is really important, right? So we know we're on track each day that we're achieving these targets. How have the team found this from helping them know what they've got to do each day?
I think so. Look, we've just sort of tried, I mean, this has been an ongoing sort of process with us, sort of trial and error. So I think breaking it down, I mean, yeah, we've got the broader range up top, but I think, yeah, breaking it down into daily tasks is, all the guys want to know, they want to start the day, what are we doing, how long is it going to take? So, and this is sort of a simple example, but it's a good example of what needs to happen.
Keep it simple, right?
That's right.
The easy way. So just a whiteboard and just setting the columns for people. Don't have to make it complicated. Just one thing I like to close out on is I really like the floor marking because that's setting an expectation, a standard, that we're keeping this area clear for the meeting to happen.
That's right, yeah.
So we're not in the way of a forklift or not in the way of any of the trolleys moving around.
Yeah.
So really good job on thinking about the safety as well as the information board. Well done, good job. What do you see as the next thing you would want to see on this communication board?
We probably need to do a little bit more on the safety, I think, on that. A little bit more on tracking on, yeah, sort of the factory improvement stuff as well, and keeping on top of those standards as well. So again, yeah, work in progress, but we're getting there.
Excellent. Yeah, and that's the thing to remember, isn't it? That everything is always, it's working as it is, but it can always be improved.
Yeah.
And by looking at each day, we'll quickly see what things we need to add or what things don't need to be on there anymore.
Yeah.
So I really like the fact you've got the factory improvements in. It's exactly what we've been looking at today.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the shop. So excellent job, very good.
I think you can always get sucked into doing too much as well. You need to do a little bit, see how it works, and just make sure it is working before you're sort of doing too much and losing track of what's working and what's not. So
we talked to James about that, about the trolley, new trolley design he's got, and the fact that he's going to build one. We're going to trial it for a while before they decide to replace all the trolleys and have the new version rolled out.
Yeah.
Everything is only an idea, right? And we're just testing those ideas.
Yeah.
That's the idea. It's never meant to be perfect, and it's always meant to go through ongoing changes.
Yeah.
So excellent, well done.
No worries, thank you.